Good morning, all. This is Cindy Gallagher here at Saney's in the Government Relations Office. Every time we do these videos and I am needing to go back and review them, I'm reminded of a line in a song from Hamilton, "Smile more, talk less." So I'm going to try that approach today. First of all, I want to thank you very much for the work that you do. And I mean that sincerely. I know that this week has not been a walk in the park for any of you. The computer-based testing has been messy at best, and I know that all of you work very diligently to make any kind of situation as comfortable as possible for your students. So thank you. There is a meeting of the Board of Regents on Monday and Tuesday, and I am sure that this will be a major topic of conversation, and we'll get more information to you should anything further come out of this. And also keep on watching those emails and our website. Michelle Hebert is our communications director and has been doing a fantastic job of putting all of the SED notices on almost immediately. So keep on watching for those emails. All right, March, a very busy month as you have ebbs and flows in your school calendar, so does the world of advocacy and lobbying, and March is definitely the month where the legislature is in for many weeks of 3 to 4 days. It is the final usually round for the negotiation, so it's very busy. One of the first things that happened in March was our own Saney's Government Relations Committee was joined by our New York City colleagues, and they come in for 2 days. The first day we go over a range of topical issues to make sure that we understand the complexities of them. The next day we have meetings with the legislature and the Commissioner of Education. With the Commissioner, one of the major topics was the ESSA designations. We certainly had a very candid conversation about some of the surprising identifications that our districts felt they fell into. As an example, in Region 7, Jim Knight gave the example of a school district, his, that had worked very diligently to improve their graduation rates under No Child Left Behind, only to find out that now under the new performance indicators, they were identified as CSI. So we talked with her about the shifting sands and what that has meant to districts and how that is sometimes very difficult to deal with. When we went over to the legislature, we had about 15 meetings, 16, which was a really heavy schedule. When you're in those meetings, we usually have 15 minutes tops to really get out our main priorities. And as you can imagine, it was about the budget. So of course, the first thing on our list was to ask for increases in state aid and foundation aid. Number 2 was to make sure that we put in a continual request for professional development for administrators. Number 3 was to join in with our Education Conference Board colleagues to talk about the equity plans. You may remember that the governor had proposed that not only do districts have to allocate, report their allocations by building code, by revenue code by buildings, but that also now in this proposed budget, what he wanted to do was increase the reporting out, but also if you were identified, your building was identified as low resource and high need, that the district would have to, by a prescribed formula, reallocate, redistribute funding to those schools. Certainly, we felt that that is a role that is designated to the district, that's in their authority, and should not be prescribed in a formula. There are many good reasons why districts fund buildings differently. And then lastly, one of the things that we talked about certainly was the expense-based aids. We were opposed to having them, excuse me, be collapsed into one funding formula. That would make them not be reimbursements for actual expenditures, but would be based on a base year and then capped and probably linked to an inflation rate. So those were the primary areas of our legislative visits. I will tell you how that turned out when I talk about the budget in a minute. Secondly, I want to talk to you about the Board of Regents meeting, which was the next week. And the primary issue on the docket that I would like to bring to your attention was the report on special education. It was a devastating report. For some of those of you who might have seen the item, it's certainly on the Board of Regents webpage, but as a result of the US DOE audit of our special education program, New York State was found to have only met 5 of 17 performance indicators. you are going to see two slides on your screen in just a moment of which indicators were in fact not found to have been met and those that were. The first slide is the actual performance ratings from 2016-17, and you will see that 3 of the indicators were in fact met. On the preliminary performance for 2017 and 2018, we dropped down to 2 performance indicators being met. So certainly the trends that we're seeing are not favorable and ones that will be very seriously examined. We will continue to keep you informed as the fallout from this report occurs, and I would certainly love hearing from you about how this is really being implemented and how special ed is, how this report may impact your district. The third event that happened in March is an important one, but it is one that I won't highlight too much. It was a visit to Washington, D.C. to lobby with principals throughout the nation on the need to increase spending at the federal level. Top on our list was increased funding for Title I programs. Certainly we stressed the need for Title II funding increase, which is always in jeopardy, and that's the pot of money that is allocated for enrichment of teachers and administrators. So that was really very much part of our agenda. Just so this video does not get too long, I want to move right into the budget, because as a result of some of our lobbying that the, as I said, the Government Relations Committee had done, as well as thousands of other people during the month of March, we did see some nice things added to the budget. I want to highlight just a few of those. Yes, we did see an increase in state aid during the final negotiations. There was, the final budget is about $38 billion for state aid. There was an increase of $618 million in foundation aid. So it certainly wasn't at the amount that both the Senate and the Assembly had recommended, but it was a negotiated that amount that was more than what the governor had proposed. So we will take that and consider it a win. 2 other budgetary items. There was the tax cap that was made permanent at 2%. And the expense-based aids that I talked about us being opposed to were not included in the budget. So the expense-based aids will continue to be based on actual expenditures and not on a base year at a fixed amount percentage hooked to the inflation rate. I want to talk very quickly about some other items that were in the budget and bring those to your attention. First, APPR was in fact passed by both houses and the governor, so that we do have a delinking of the state assessments to teacher evaluations and principal evaluations. The next step is going to be challenging. That's when the state ed department will begin to generate and develop regulations around this, and we really want to be very, very active, as I'm sure we will be in the development of the regulations. More money was put in for student mental health needs, about $1.5 million. Another piece that was important to district is that districts will in fact be able to establish teacher retirement and principal retirement reserve funds. One other one that has caught the attention of some of you that you have sent to me in emails is the Extreme Risk Protection Act, otherwise known as the Red Flag bill. And that basically requires principals or their designees to be reporters and then submit petitions to the court should you suspect that a student could do harm to themselves or others. And the effect of that petition would be to stop the sale of guns to that student or perhaps confiscate such weapons from the home. We need to work more on this. We need to look seriously. As I said, we're looking through many of the pieces of the budget now, as this was just passed at the beginning of this week. So we're sifting through. We will be providing guidance, I'm sure, on the Extreme Risk Protection Act. So as you can see, that was a very busy month. This was a whirlwind tour. I would love to hear from you with any questions or concerns about any of these items. I do love to hear from you. It is a way for us to keep in touch as well as for me to bring those issues in a in a nice anecdotal way to either the commissioner, the Board of Regents, or the legislature. So thank you very much. I hope this was helpful, and we'll be talking to you again probably next week after the Board of Regents meeting.